Yeah, but even now, for like a tabletop game, Pokemon is still extraordinarily complicated and hard to play.
Yeah. Well, speaking of like, tabletop games, like, so like we played like the basics and card games when we were kids, right?
yeah.
But then within like the past 5 to 8 years, I want to say, there's been basically a renaissance of card games and mostly board games.
Yeah, but it is getting more complicated, but they are a lot more competitive, which is really, really interesting and really cool. Like, if you put together a good deck and you kind of know how to play it, you could pretty much contend with most people.
True.
Yeah, so like, you thought James likes Blue Eyes, but it's not a good deck.
I can see
because I'm OG and my habits die hard, I guess.
I can see when we were talking about the whole stocks thing, like Wolf of Wall Street or whatever. I could see somebody in the back with
Stonks.
having like their headphones on with the mic saying, "Come on, Jimmy, I know you want to buy that Blue Eyes White Dragon."
It's original mint condition. You could blow everybody up on that field,
and
man.
guess what?
I don't know.
There's
that money
2
was
more
for
to go
my
along with it.
retirement.
And guess what
I
happens
don't
when you
think
get
I
that
could do
fusion?
Fuck your retirement. You're gonna die a god.
Jimmy, come on. Jimmy, hey, Jimmy, don't back off on that bet, man.
Yeah.
You never know. You might end up needing that ultimate dragon, but you know what? It's going away fast.
All right. You know what? What the hell? All right. $70,000 for that.
We got a
Blue Eyes.
sale.
That should be one of our skits. The wolf of elementary schools or whatever.
The Wolf of Yu-Gi-Oh.
Correct.
Yeah.
The
But-
wolf of
The
Pegasus
Wolf,
Island.
the Wolf
But,
of trading card game.
But now Yu-Gi-Oh is probably one of my favorite games now to actually play. I like playing it. It's entertaining, and Risk will always be one of my favorite board games.
Hell yeah, man.
No.
Praise to that.
Yeah, dude.
Man,
Freaking.
how to drink.
So that's. I guess it also kind of comes down to what type of game you like. Yeah.
So, when you're looking at games, like, what do you guys usually look for? Matt, obviously, you said that you don't like strategy games that much. So, like, what do you look for in a board game?
Well, it's not that I don't like strategy. It's just like it takes me a while to kind of understand like the offensive and the defensive parts of it, because that's the thing. Like, it's kind of like a multitasking kind of deal, because when you're playing Risk, it's not just the offensive you want to take. You also want to defend the land that you own. So, or territories, or whatever you want to call it. And when I look into a board game, for example, or any sort of game really, like, I look at not just the strategy, but the concept to why you're playing it. Because sometimes there's games that'll just go on and on and on, and you're not getting anywhere. I mean, I'm trying to think of a good example of one, but I'm not really popping in my head right
Monopoly.
now. Yeah, Monopoly can go back and forth depending on, your properties or whatever that.
Yeah.
Boardwalk.
Yeah. Well, kind of. Well, I'll get to that later. But you were saying.
And also, like, one we didn't bring up. What about like Magic the Gathering? I mean, that's kind of like, I never got into that. Like, I've seen people.
I've never once in my life played that.
No, but like a couple of our friends, they played it for a little bit before one of them moved to
Right.
Japan. They were telling me about their decks all the time, and do not take that out of context either. But I think I said it a little.
Telling you about your what now? Look right into the camera and say that.
They were talking to me about their decks.
Jeez, we need a fans only account, only fans account for this section.
How much are you gonna charge a month? 8?
Big decks only.
Dig old Becks.
Big old Becks.
Oh god, but yeah, I'm rambling on. But I don't know. I think I just look at something with a lot of detail and just a great, not a story, but a good background. You know what I mean? You know what I'm talking about?
So you're more like maybe a D&D?
Yeah,
like,
I mean,
get into.
I've always wanted to try that. We had a friend that tried to start something up when we were way younger, like way younger, and of course, everybody wasn't driving yet, so we couldn't even like find our way over. Besides one of them living next door to me, but
yeah, well, when you're first of all, kids have very limited like world building skills. They're still kids, and like when you're a kid, like. Basically, they're like, come on over and play Dungeons and Dragons. You can do anything you want. And then, like, this was my experience. Like, I get over there, and I'm like, okay, I want to be, like, Gimli from Lord of the Rings or something. They'll be like, no, you can't be that. Or, like, okay, I want to, like, jump over this mountain. Like, no, you can't do that. I was like, you sold me on a false premise.
You should have been like,
sir.
well, here, let's
I would
see.
like my money back.
If I roll a 6.
Jimmy would be like Dwight when he starts Second Life on the computer. You know, he's just paper salesman, and his name is Dwight, but he can fly.
You just totally reminded me of that. Oh my gosh. Jimmy sent me a funny GIF. Well, actually, it was a video from The Office about the Clone Wars, but we're not gonna dive into that for this episode. Obviously.
Okay, yeah, we're still on break from Star Wars.
Yes, that is still a rule, guys. For anybody who's asking,
it's the neutral territory right now for Star Wars.
Star Wars.
But
tabletop games I think we're entering a new renaissance, like you said, of tabletop games and card games for that matter. It was popular even before we started this podcast. It was on its way up.
Yeah.
D&D is becoming more and more popular as well.
Yeah. Well, especially now because everyone's stuck inside. D&D you can play, which I have been. I've been playing with a couple groups. You can play D&D
virtually,
remotely, rather easily, especially with things like Fantasy Grounds and just over Skype. But so as for like board games and stuff, I think that what we might be seeing now is like, so according to some sources, it like basically peaked within about 3 to 5 years ago, and now it's starting to plateau. So what I'm thinking is going to be happening is like, okay, like, you walk into the stores at like the mall or, the game section of Walmart and like, holy crap, there's a billion games out there we can buy. So there's a lot of bandwagon people that jumped on and developed these games, and they're not that good. But now I think you're going to start to see like the really good games like are the rising to the top and actually staying around.
Well, the thing is, it's just I always go to the game section when I go to Target and Walmart, and there's not a lot of good games. There's all this is standard stuff, Monopoly, Jenga, blah blah blah. But there's not a lot of diversity. There's not a lot of interesting games. But then there's a local game store at our mall, and it is full of games, like all kinds of stuff. It's awesome. Like the diversity of how many games that are developed every year is incredible.
Yeah, we got
from the harshest Euro game to the most thematic Ameritrash game.
Yeah.
Which not gonna lie, I will straight up buy every Ameritrash game. Like I'm kind of a theming guy, more of I do like games that kind of challenge me and have some, the mechanics that that are challenging, but I get distracted very easily by like a very vivid illustration on the box. So
we have a classic game store at our mall, and they have this whole section they just added of board games, and you also can get like the figures for them. There's all collectibles and stuff you can actually buy, and I was looking into them, and I didn't know if anybody else was playing them, but apparently at this place, every Saturday they have like a different theme for like they have a different like game tournament or something. Because like one weekend it was a Yu-Gi-Oh tournament, then the next it was like a Magic tournament. Then after that there was like some sort of board game. I don't know what it was, but after that they had a Beyblade. Like a Beyblade tournament where like they were letting it rip, and like all of a sudden you walk into this game store, you hear it's like, what the hell? You see all these discs just flying everywhere, but it's really cool.
So what we're talking about again is the board games and tabletop games, the things that you could either play alone or with friends over Skype or with your family. So what I wanted to get into, because we talked about what we played as kids and what we're kind of looking for in games right now, I want to talk about games, either it can be video games, but board games and tabletop games you like now, that you like to play now.
Ooh.
Okay.
Yeah. As of late, I haven't played a lot of board games. I've been pretty busy with work and not playing, honestly, video games, but I do know of some games that we like, at least we'd like to play here.
Right. Yeah. So like I said, when I'm looking at games, so there are a few different types. First of all, there's like, you want to divide into two. Like I said, there's Euro games, which are like, so Euro games are generally games that are like a little bit more less thematic, but a little bit more strategy driven, but like economically rather than like attacking.
Yeah. And
it's like co-op. Versus American style games, which generally are a little bit more conflict oriented, highly thematic. So generally, if you see a game that's like super themed, then that's probably an American game. So think about like big classic difference would be like Settlers of Catan would be a Euro game,
right?
Because it's more about cooperation and like building your socioeconomic model versus Monopoly, which is very like conflict oriented and very based around like the theme of like the Monopoly, the economy and stuff. Something a little factoid I wanted to touch on. You mentioned something about Monopoly earlier, Matt. So I read this news article that was comparing Settlers of Catan to Monopoly. Monopoly is apparently like more mathematically like, okay, like in the beginning there's some room, like anyone can win, but like basically once somebody gets ahead, there's no way of like beating them.
Right, exactly. Especially when you get your first roll. Like say your first roll you don't get anything, that just pretty much already put you on a setback. So
exactly. Versus like Settlers of Catan, where its mechanics are more like pretty much any point in the game, it can go one way or the other.
Yeah.
So I like that style. I like the American game style theming. So if it's like dragons and orc figurines, like I'm in. But I like it that it can go like either way, basically at any point, based on strategy.
Yeah.
So there are different types of games among that too. So there's like worker placement, like something like Stone Age. There's co-ops like the Arcane games we play.
Yeah.
Yeah. So we're basically like the entire point of the game is you have to cooperate with each other, and it's like Dungeons and Dragons. You're all working together against the game itself.
Yeah.
Area control, like Risk, which is very satisfying because you're like, I conquered the whole planet, and you make everyone else in the game cry. RPG, like Dungeons and Dragons. I play a lot of Dungeons and Dragons, which I mentioned because there's a lot of fantasy and theming. And then there's like so legacy games are something that's somewhat new. You guys know what these are?
What?
No.
So legacy game is like so it's that Risk game that we played with Z-Dog.
Yeah. Okay.
So it's like so it's like basically the more you play this specific board game, the more it evolves. So like this Risk legacy game we played, it's like post-apocalyptic, and like let's say there'll be like an envelope that says like when somebody conquers the entire board or something, you open it up and then something happens and you alter the board, which alters the game
irrevocably. So like the next time the game is played, it can't be like no two boards in the world are alike.
Exactly. So like one of the big things was I think that when you win a game, you get to name a country or a continent or something, and that changes like how much like people you get per that continent. So so that's very good if you have like a set group of friends and you're going to continuously play, which we did. We got to like basically all of the extensions of that game. And then there's straight up party games, which I enjoy.
Matt, what are your favorite board games? Oh my God.
Back on topic, Jesus.
Well, guys, with board games, I have Monopoly on my Xbox, and believe it or not, like I like playing on that because it's like a 3D model of it and everything. Like that city is in 3D on the whole entire thing, and it's like high def. And we played against a couple of our friends, and we had one person just like we thought she was cheating the entire time, but like I'd have to say for the Xbox version of Monopoly Plus was very fun. Which I think we should all try that at some point. That'd be fun to play on this channel.
I'd be down.
Might lose some friendships, but
it's okay. We're not really friends anyway, and I don't really like my brother.
We only got 2 friendships to destroy here, so
yeah.
True. You can't break up a brotherhood.
But I like to play I really like strategy games. Like my brother was talking about working together and stuff. Like when my brother, my sister, and I were playing Settlers of Catan, we were playing, and then the entire time was like, how am I gonna two over, and how the hell am I gonna win? And that's like probably like her and him were like thinking, how are we gonna cooperate? How are we gonna trade? And I just like,
Well, that's what we always do because we're always like, how are we going to cooperate to destroy Jarrett, and then we're going to destroy each other?
Yeah.
But yeah, we completely skipped over the cooperation part of that game.
Yeah.
We were just like, how are we going to use all of our resources to crush our enemies?
But I won. So it didn't work out.
So that's what you get when you're raised on Ameritrash games.
Yeah. So co-op games are not really my forte, but my brother got me an Arkham Horror game that's all about co-op, and I actually do really like that one because it's H.P. Lovecraft theme, and I'm I'm a sucker for H.P. Lovecraft.
Yeah.
In general.
Yeah, it's part of the the Arkham Horror series, but I got him the so there's like, the Arkham Horror games and like the expansions, which are all like 3 hours long. I got him like the one that's like basically a self-contained 1 hour long board game. So not that I don't have it, not that I have anything against the like 3 hour games. It's just I was trying to figure out if we actually wanted to play the Arkham Horror series, and we actually really like it. So
yeah, but like I've always been a sucker for like miniatures. So like I try to play the Game of Thrones board game, which is like one of those games you have to play for 3 hours, which I really don't mind doing. I love that.
The game of Game of Thrones.
The game of Game of Thrones.
Oh,
the board game.
I want to try that. That sounds fun.
It's so good, and there's like a bunch of other like Game of Thrones themed stuff, like the Castle Black battle against the Wildlings and the Knights Rangers with little minifigures you can buy, which are expansion packs.
Yeah. Is this the like the HBO like licensed one, or like just...
No, this is the straight up Song of Ice and Fire.
Okay.
Yeah, stuff. And then of course like any kind of minifigure stuff. So like I do like Dungeons and Dragons a lot. But the thing that really got me into it was like you could buy or have like a specially made minifigure, and then that would be you. That you would move across the board, and I was like, oh, that's gnarly. That's cool. Like I saw a PBS special about a guy who has like collected like minifigures and stuff for D&D for the boards, like the trees and the hills and towns and everything, like over 9,000 pieces. Jeez, that he just like collects, and they've been playing it for like 30 years. Which is awesome.
So you get like, do you plan on painting the thing yourself? So like you get like a little magnifying glasses, and you got the little tiny paintbrush.
And then halfway through I realize I suck at it, and then I get really mad.
You make a whole army. You already painted a whole army, and you're just like, no.
I gotta start over.
Yeah, I think I'd be pretty good at that because I got like really steady hands from like soldering for 6 months straight. But like. I don't know if I could do like the color, like get any color schemes right, because I'm really not that artistic.
But... I mean, look at my hand. Steady as a rock, right? But I paint with this hand. I can't paint anymore. See that?
He left his insignia.
Yeah, but I paint with this hand.
He left his signature.
Yeah. But I have one more thing I want to go over. So there's a lot of like gaming culture right now. Competitive gaming is starting to become really popular, especially with Overwatch, Fortnite, and Apex. Do you think board games and the tabletop games should be part of that gaming culture?
I think that not only is it, but I think that it's also part of like the wider culture at this point. Because like you get like, so like video games and stuff can be very niche-y, or comics can be very niche-y, or superheroes or stuff. Not superhero movies, because they are marketed to literally every human on the planet. But like, yeah, so board games, you can go to any friend's house and be like, hey, let's play a board game, and people will be into it now. Like it's not like one of those things like, oh God, that's so boring. Why are you making us do this? It's trendy and people actually like it. So it depends on, as for like the competitive thing, it depends, because different board games can be specifically geared not to be competitive against people. It's entirely cooperative.
Yeah.
So it'd be very difficult. Like D&D would not be a great competitive game because it's based on your cooperation with the group. Like that's the whole thing. Yeah. So I think that they're like, they have, competitive chess has been a thing for centuries now.
Yeah. And there's competitive rock, paper, scissors in Japan.
Oh my God.
Japan is just a mess.
Japan's a circus with certain things. Like they like go all out with that though.
Synopsis.
Well, like, are we out of time?
Okay.
Yeah. Okay. Well, board games probably the best part of our culture, and I think they're making a big comeback at this point. And even though you guys are stuck at home, you can always tune into Area Nerdy 1 or break out a Risk game or start watching really inappropriate TikToks like Matt does apparently.
Well, somebody got to do something sometimes. I mean,
whatever you do, don't Google Scrappy Doo TikTok ?
Safe search off. Always have that puppy right on. No, wait.
Y'all know.
Always have the safe search on. Nothing with puppy. We're done. Well, this has been Area Nerdy 1. This has been Jarrett.
This has been Jimmy.
And this has been Matt.
Stay classy.
You stay classy. Keep rolling those nat 20s.
Oh gosh.
Snake eyes.
When you pass go, you get $200.
You're gonna delete all this, right?
We're recording.
Wait, what?